My husband comes from a family of 5. His parents, 2 sisters and then him. He's the middle kid and doesn't always get along with his family, but he loves them. I'm an only child of a single parent and sometimes that shows in me. Where my husband is used to big family get-togethers all the time, I'm more used to it being just me and my mom, not really seeing extended family, and hosting was not a huge thing growing up. But I have tried to help maintain things, for the sake of everyone's relationship. The issue is how much my husband's family expect. They expect a family member hosting to have food on hand, and plenty to drink on hand, and to basically wait on them. They do it for us, they grew up with that's how you do it, like a waitress. Whereas when I had friends over as a kid it was casual. Very casual. And dinner was definitely more casual and nothing fancy ever. Whereas my husband's family goes all out. Starters, mains, desserts. With steaks, fish, legs of lamb, etc. Wine and other alcoholic drinks are provided. My husband and I are not rich and we tend to make cheaper meals. In part because food insecurity growing up taught me you don't need to be fancy or spend a ton to make good food. Pasta, lasagna, chicken dinner, rice dishes, curry dishes, homemade pizzas, basic salads. To host my husband's family we normally default to lasagna and pasta with some curry dishes thrown in because those are easy to make for a lot of people. We always got some negative comments about it, but my husband shuts it down. Saturday was different though. We had pasta and salad and ice cream for dessert, and my husband's dad commented that we must be allergic to red meat, then his mom said she didn't like needing to put her own dressing on the salad. My husband told them to knock it off, but while he was in the bathroom my husband's oldest sister confronted me on not serving better food because her 11-year-old daughter was not liking the pasta. Niece then asked me to make her this clam ravioli dish they make at home, and she told me it would only take 4 hours. I said I couldn't make it, but would she like a sandwich? Her mom told me she felt sorry for mine and my husband's 4-month-old son if this is how I plan on feeding him, and her comment was the last straw. I told them to get out. Nobody had finished eating but I didn't care. They were pissed at me. My husband was pissed at the comment made about our son. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The sheer entitlement is just stunning. And then for them to confront you while your husband was in the bathroom and you would have no defender was just cowardly. When you are a guest at someone's house, you accept what they serve, with the only exception being for food allergies, or just politely decline. You don't treat it like a restaurant and give orders. Especially for a recipe that only takes 4 hours to make. I gotta admit, I think this is only the tip of the iceberg about how they feel about you. They seem to have a terminal case of affluenza. I certainly would not have them over again without some serious groveling on their part. Especially that brat of a niece. Actually, your in-laws behaved incredibly rude. An absolute no-no to comment on your hostess' food when invited over. You never know if people are hard on cash or whatever. You host however you and your husband want. If they don't like it, they can stay home. As for the kid not liking lasagna, that's okay. Most children are picky, not odd. She can have a sandwich. As for your mother-in-law making that comment about your child, that is enough reason, to me, to go low contact till mother-in-law understands how to behave respectfully. Set boundaries with them as soon as possible. Good luck. To be that insulting to you in your own home, what the hell is wrong with them? Good for you on kicking them out. Make the line clear that they will not be allowed to behave that way and that they need to apologize before you can move forward. While they may be used to fancier parties, they need a lesson in class and basic manners. My mom and my wife don't really like each other. They used to hate each other, but they've both become disengaged. As a result, my mom doesn't see me or my kids often, but it is better for everyone's mental health. Recently I was visiting my mom and my sisters, 13 and 11, were asking about going on vacation to Universal Studios. My kids, 9 and 7, got jealous and expressed they wanted to go. Before I left my mom said she knows money is tight for me and we can join them if we want. I assumed family vacation meant family, so of course I thought my wife was going. The day we were supposed to leave I met them at their house and my mom looked at my wife confused and asked why she was there. I told her and my mom grabbed my stepdad and stepped inside. My sister came out and opened the door and I could hear my mom and stepdad fighting over which one of them wasn't going to come or who was going to tell my wife she couldn't come. My wife was embarrassed, so I stepped in and said we could hear them. My mom said she didn't specially invite my wife, so I shouldn't have assumed. At this point I got defensive and my mom said my wife couldn't come. I said none of us would go then and my kids got upset. My mom changed her mind because she felt bad for the kids, so we all went and my mom paid for it all, but refused to be around my wife or even in the same part of the park on the same day. My stepdad pulled me aside and said I really was entitled by thinking they would take my wife and I shouldn't have assumed. Not the idiot. At this point, your children and your wife constitute your nuclear family. We is a term that includes your wife, and that was a fair assumption to make. I would have a talk with your mom and stepdad. If they want to be involved in your life and your kids' lives, that includes your wife. She can't be left on the sidelines. Good on you for sticking by your wife. I've seen too many stories where the SO in this scenario was left behind to pacify someone in the wrong. Go back and have a sit down with mom and stepdad. Figure out with finality if they wish to be a part of your family's lives, which to be clear includes myself, my wife, and my kids, as the kids would not be here to love and enjoy if it wasn't for my wife. Let them decide if they want to be civil adults and have their grandkids in their lives or not, as well as you in your siblings' lives. You don't expect love and roses, but at least a modicum of respect from all to each other, them to wife to them, for it to be a long-term solution. As if not, it will be time to cut ties for the health and well-being of your entire family. You're the idiot. You know your mom and wife don't get along. It's established in your family that they do not spend time together. When she invited you and your kids. You should have at least asked, especially because your mom was buying the tickets for you. This is either you being entitled and not bothering to double check, or you being manipulative and knowing if you just brought your wife, your mom would be forced to pay for her. I, 27, live with my roommate, J, 30. I own the house, but she helps with bills and stuff. J has seizures and anxiety. She takes medicine, but it doesn't always work and it's really bad when it doesn't. She recently went to her doctor and they recommended that she get a service dog that would alert to her seizures and do deep pressure therapy. Over the weekend she brought it up to me and told me what the doctor had told her. She said she had reached out to someone who bred service dogs already. I was pissed when I found out. I am allergic to dogs, really badly. It gets hard for me to breathe if I go in someone's house and they have a dog. I can take some medicine, but if there's dog hair everywhere, then it'll only make it better and it'll still be uncomfortable. I told her that and she had known that when she moved in. She said that she would get a non-allergenic dog like a poodle or a golden doodle. I still have allergies to those. It's better, but still pretty bad and, again, medicine doesn't completely help. I told her that she has gotten on so far without one and that if she got one it either couldn't come inside or she'd have to move out. Day said that was unfair as she can't afford to move anywhere else and it's something possibly life-threatening compared to discomfort. She hasn't made a decision yet, but my family asked about it because she's friends with them. They think I'm being an idiot for threatening to kick her out when she has nowhere to go and that she'd be getting a dog that wouldn't cause allergies anyway. Jay is also pretty upset with me about this. I'm starting to think I should just let her get the dog and take the allergies pills and mild discomfort, but I don't know. Am I the idiot for saying she can't stay with me if she got a service dog? Not the idiot. I am disabled, but I would never force someone with allergies like yours to live with a dog. Allergy meds eventually become less effective. You shouldn't have to live like that in your own house. Dander and hair will hang around for years after. She needs to make a choice and stick to it. Wouldn't surprise me if she ambushes you and claims discrimination. No idiots here. If she would truly greatly benefit from a service dog, then that's best for her. If you're allergic and would struggle with breathing difficulties, then you can't live with a dog. She would be the idiot if she ignores your concerns and gets one anyway. If she desperately needs one, then she needs to figure out another living arrangement. I can understand the frustration on both sides, but at this point, where it's just frustration at each other and she hasn't made moves towards getting one, neither of you are really the idiot. I think you should stand your ground that she will need to find other living arrangements. Just show her compassion, which it sounds like you have, and maybe help her with the process of moving out in some manner. You're totally not obligated to, and she might even refuse, but given the situation I think it would be a nice gesture. The reason I am asking is because they were in the middle of building a garage which they won't be able to use unless I let them use my driveway. Not sure if it is relevant, but I am 29, the new neighbors are probably in their early 30s, and my previous neighbor was 78. I allowed my neighbor to use my driveway roughly a year and a half ago to get to his yard to park his car on his back terrace. He had no fence there and my backyard is fenced. After he asked me, he told me he was having trouble finding a parking spot on our busy street and he was no longer able to walk bigger distances. I rather not allow anything like that most of the time, but we were always on good terms, and well, it didn't really hurt me, as I only had one car at the time, so didn't need the extra space he would need to pass my car and get to his terrace. Just to be clear, from the back of my backyard, in a straight line to the edge of my neighbor's house all the way to the sidewalk is mine. There is no right of passage, no shared ownership, it's all mine. Around 5 months ago my neighbor moved out and went to live in assisted living. His daughter put his house up for sale, and that's as much as I know about that. I figured it would go back to how it was. My grandpa since gifted me his 2 motorcycles which take up roughly the space of a car, and my girlfriend is over 5 out of 7 days, so the situation has changed in terms of space and I utilized the full width of the driveway. The house was sold 3 months ago. Anyhow, I went on a holiday for about 3 weeks shortly after, and I come home to a bunch of cars and machines sitting in my driveway with a bunch of dudes building a garage where my neighbor's terrace was. It got really heated as I made all the construction guys and their stuff get the hell off my property, and later had a huge argument with the neighbors where they claimed they bought the house with a driveway and how half the driveway was theirs. I told them I had all my paperwork in order, but they can call the local council to have them send one of their dudes to measure it. After that they quickly shifted gear stating they had right of passage because the previous owner had it. I told them I personally allowed him to temporarily use my driveway because of his age and walking issues. After a lot more cursing I told them I was done talking and the next time I see them park on my driveway I'll have them towed and report them for trespassing. I ended up extending my fence out of petty spite, essentially blocking in their garage and closing the opening. They have been over several times trying to get me to agree to give them right of way, offering to purchase part of the driveway and so forth. My girlfriend has been there since the start and has recently told me I am being a bit of a jerk as the neighbors likely bought the place thinking they had right of way, so am I. Not the idiot. The neighbors bought their place without doing a proper survey. If they think they bought more land than they actually have, don't feel sorry for idiots. If they were sold the house as having access to your driveway by the previous owner's daughter, they should take it up with her as the property was mis-sold to them. Since you can prove everything is yours and that the agreement for your neighbor to use your driveway was temporary, these new people are trying to pull a fast one. Putting a fence up to secure your boundaries under these circumstances is not being an idiot, it's making things perfectly clear to your neighbors where the legal boundaries are to prevent further dispute. Their proposed solutions don't benefit you. I recommend seeing an attorney who specializes in real estate law just to confirm that everything is in order to protect you. Then I would build a very sturdy fence along that side of your property to prevent them from trying to access their backyard through your property. If they were told by the daughter or the realtor that there was a legal easement through your property, then your neighbors need to take it up with them. Not you. You were kind enough not to make an old man you've known for years make the long walk from his car. These strangers came in and brought the home without doing their due diligence and checking property lines. If the property was sold to them by the old man's family and they told them they could do this, it's their problem, not yours. You owe them nothing. Why should you not be able to use the property you need and own because they didn't double check? Ignore them. What you've done is right. My 23 boyfriend Dan, 23, and his sister Beth, 22, have custody of their younger siblings. In case anyone is confused why I referred to my boyfriend's kid in the title, that is just a far more accurate description of the relationship he has with the youngest two than sibling. I watched the youngest kid, Emma, 11, by myself for like the 3rd time ever yesterday. I've been dating Dan for over a year and spent quite a lot of time at their house, but I've never been involved in the parenting. Some info. Beth is kind of the default parent. She is pretty strict and is known to be the boss of the entire house. Dan can be strict about some stuff, but he is generally a little more laid back. Anyway, Beth went away for a long weekend and yesterday Dan was taking the kids out to run some errands. When he was getting ready to leave, Emma said she wanted to stay home. I had nowhere to be, so Dan asked if I minded watching her for a few hours. We did some baking, and then she started showing me some tricks on her scooter in the driveway. After a lot of near misses followed by warnings from me about minding the cars, she rode straight into Beth's car and dented it. The damage is pretty small, but noticeable. Emma seemed unfazed and was pretty mad with me when I told her she wasn't playing on the scooter anymore and I was putting it aside. I took the scooter off her and had her come inside, but she pitched a fit and said I can't do that, it wasn't fair, Beth wouldn't care, she will, etc. She is known for having big feelings and was getting worked up. I tried to calm her down, but she was just flipping out, so I told her she needed to go and calm down in her bedroom for a while. I've seen Beth put her in her room several times within the last few months, so it was nothing new for her. I went up a few times in the space of around an hour to see how she was doing. The last time I went in she was completely calm. I decided not to bring up the incident with her because I knew Dan would be home soon and I thought he might want to deal with it and I didn't want her to flip out on me again. Once he came home and I filled him in, Dan was not very happy about it and told me he wasn't comfortable with me disciplining her and I should have phoned him so he could have spoken to her himself. I see his point of view, but I don't think I did anything major in terms of disciplining. The conversation never properly ended because of interruptions, but he didn't want to talk about it when I brought it up again later. He said we clearly can't agree, but he thinks that if he doesn't want me disciplining her, then that's the end of it and I shouldn't be arguing with him over it. I realize that it's important to him, we've never argued before so part of me does think I must have screwed up. But I also think he's making a big deal over something minor and I didn't do anything that bad. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Especially if that was considered disciplining. That was very tame discipline. Furthermore, the child was in your care. I am a big believer that if I leave my child in the care of someone else, then I have to allow them to discipline if necessary. I mean, what if the kid touches the hot stove? I'd hope you yell at my kid for doing that. Honestly, I'd tell him that if he isn't comfortable with you discipling then you cannot watch her anymore. You need to have some type of allowed punishment you can use. Since it sounds like Dan sees part of the disciplining as taking the scooter away. This sounds like it was necessary because if Emma can't avoid parked cars, it would be even more dangerous if there are cars driving past. I think you did the right thing because she could have gotten seriously hurt. It doesn't sound like you meant go to your room and think about your behavior when you sent Emma to her room to calm down. I probably would have done the same in your shoes. However, Dan has the right to decide on how to parent his siblings. You have the right to decline babysitting for him. What were you supposed to do? Let her continue to dent the car up. Asking her to sit quietly to calm down is so mild in the discipline department that if anyone is overreacting, it's Dan. He asked you to watch her. If you weren't allowed to say or do anything, then what was the point of you even being there? I would tell Dan that he may not want to talk about it, but for the sake of the relationship that you need to, because he's treating you as if you've committed some unspeakable act towards this girl, when all you did was ask her to not damage the car further and to sit and calm down.